Before empires rose and fell, before Rome ruled the world, before time itself was carefully measured.
A civilization that turned stone into eternity, aligned monuments with the stars.
Along a narrow ribbon of green surrounded by endless desert, ancient Egypt transformed survival into immortality.
Here, gods walked among humans, kings ruled as divine beings.
This is not just the story of pyramids and pharaohs, nor merely a tale of sand and stone.
Is the story of how humanity first dared to challenge time itself, the rise of the ancient Egyptian civilization.
Ancient Egypt was born along the banks of a single river, the Nile. In a land surrounded by deathly sand, this river carried life. Every year, the Nile rose beyond its banks, flooding the land.
The floods were violent, unpredictable, and impossible to control.
Homes were damaged. Fields disappeared beneath the water.
Yet destruction was only the beginning.
When the floodwaters retreated, the land was reborn. Crops grew where desert once ruled.
To the Egyptians, this cycle was not random. It was not nature alone. It was divine intention.
They believed the gods controlled the river's rise and fall.
To honor the Nile was to honor the gods themselves. The river became Egypt's greatest blessing. It provided food, water, and a path for travel and trade. The Nile connected cities, villages, and people into one land. It shaped Egypt's economy, religion, and identity. Without the Nile, Egypt could not exist. But with the Nile, a civilization would endure for over 3,000 years.
Around 3100 BCE, Egypt stood divided. Two lands, two crowns, two identities.
Upper Egypt in the south, Lower Egypt in the north.
Each with its own rulers, gods, symbols, and traditions. Conflict, rivalry, and division shaped the land. Then one man changed everything. A ruler remembered as Narmer. Through power, strategy, and belief, he united the two lands.
For the first time, Egypt became one nation. This moment marked the true beginning of ancient Egyptian civilization.
One ruler now controlled land, people, religion, and law. Power became centralized. Authority became absolute. The pharaoh was no longer just a king. He was a living god on earth. Human and divine power became one.
This fusion became the foundation of Egyptian society.
Religion shaped politics. Politics shaped religion. Order replaced chaos. At the center of ancient Egypt stood one figure above all others: the pharaoh. He was ruler, judge, and supreme authority. But his power went beyond politics.
The pharaoh was believed to be chosen by the gods.
Some believed he was divine himself. Through him, the gods ruled Egypt. Through him, order was maintained. The Egyptians called this balance Ma'at. If the pharaoh failed, chaos would follow. Famine, flood, and war were seen as his failure. Absolute power carried absolute responsibility. The pharaoh commanded armies. He controlled land, labor, and wealth. His word was law. His image was sacred. Every monument reinforced his authority. Every ritual strengthened his rule. For centuries, this system held Egypt together. Until power itself became a burden too heavy to carry. Across the desert horizon, stone giants rise against the sky. They are not just monuments. They are messages carved into eternity.
The pyramids were built to defeat time itself. For the Egyptians, death was not an end.
It was a doorway to another world.
The pyramids were designed as royal tombs.
But they were also cosmic machines of resurrection.
Thousands of workers shaped millions of stones. Not slaves, but skilled builders and engineers.
They used mathematics, astronomy, and engineering.
The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as their greatest achievement. Its precision still challenges modern science.
Each block weighed tons.
Yet they fit together with astonishing accuracy. Every pyramid reflected power, belief, and ambition. They proclaimed the pharaoh's immortality
and Egypt's challenge to the limits of human ability. Thousands of years later, they still stand.
Silent, unbroken, and eternal, guardians of a civilization that refused to be forgotten.
Before paper, before books, before ink, Egypt learned how to make ideas permanent.
They called it hieroglyphs, writing meant for the gods.
Each symbol was more than a letter.
It was an image, a sound, and a sacred idea combined.
To write something was to give it existence.
Writing preserved prayers, spells, and divine names.
It recorded victories, laws, and royal commands. And it documented daily life along the Nile. Few could read or write. Scribes trained for years to master the sacred art. They were among the most powerful people in Egypt.
Because writing controlled memory.
And memory controlled history. Hieroglyphs also protected the dead.
Spells guided the soul through the afterlife.
Every word had power beyond death. When Egypt fell, the writing was forgotten. For centuries, its meaning was lost. Until one stone spoke again.
And Egypt found its voice once more.
Long before modern hospitals, ancient Egypt learned how to heal the human body. To the Egyptians, medicine was both science and magic.
Illness was seen as a physical and spiritual imbalance.
Doctors treated wounds, but also spoke prayers.
Ancient medical texts recorded symptoms and diagnoses.
Egyptian doctors specialized in different fields.
Some focused only on the eyes.
Others treated bones, teeth, or internal disease. Surgery was practiced with knives, needles, and stitches. Wounds were cleaned, stitched, and bandaged. and moldy bread to fight infection. Their knowledge came from observation, not theory.
Centuries of trial shaped their science.
Mummification taught them human anatomy.
They learned how organs worked and failed.
Greek and Roman medicine would later build upon it.
In healing the body, ancient Egypt shaped the future of medicine itself.
To the ancient Egyptians, death was not an ending.
It was a passage from one world into another. Life on Earth was only the beginning.
What came after mattered even more.
The universe was ruled by many gods. Each governed nature, fate, and human destiny.
Ra carried the sun across the heavens.
Osiris ruled the realm of the dead.
Isis guarded life, magic, and motherhood.
Anubis guided souls beyond death.
When a person died, their journey had just begun. The soul faced trials in the underworld. At its end stood judgment. The heart was weighed against a feather.
A life lived in truth, granted eternal peace.
Failure meant oblivion. To prepare, Egyptians preserved the body. So the soul could recognize its form.
For in Egypt, eternity was not imagined. It was prepared for.
Beyond gods and monuments, most Egyptians lived ordinary lives.
Their days began with the river. The Nile dictated when to work and when to rest. Most were farmers.
They grew wheat, barley, onions, and flax.
Food was simple, but rarely scarce. Bread and beer formed the heart of every meal. Homes were built from mud brick.
Children learned by watching their parents.
Festivals brought music, dance, and joy.
Life was hard, but meaningful. Family formed the center of society.
Marriage was a partnership, not a prison.
Faith was woven into daily routines. Every action echoed into the afterlife.
In the rhythm of river and sun, Egyptian life quietly endured.
As Egypt grew strong, peace alone could no longer protect it. Threats rose beyond the Nile Valley. To survive, Egypt became an empire.
Armies marched under sacred symbols. War was believed to serve divine order. Egyptian soldiers used chariots, bows, and bronze weapons. Speed and discipline gave them advantage. Pharaohs like Thutmose III expanded Egypt's borders. Hatshepsut strengthened power through trade, not conquest. Gold, incense, and exotic goods flowed into Egypt.
Ramses II ruled as warrior and builder.
His battles became legends carved in stone.
Treaties replaced endless war.
Egypt became a diplomatic power.
But empire demands constant strength. Enemies watched and waited.
And the age of power slowly turned toward decline.
No civilization, no matter how great, escapes time.
After centuries of power, Egypt began to weaken.
Internal divisions fractured the throne. The pharaoh's authority slowly faded. Power shifted from kings to priests and generals. Economic strain weakened the people. Grain shortages led to unrest. Borders became harder to defend. Foreign powers took notice. Assyrians invaded from the east. Persians followed, claiming Egypt as a province. The ancient throne became a symbol, not a power. Then came Alexander the Great. Egypt fell without resistance. Greek rule reshaped the land. The Ptolemaic dynasty ruled in Egyptian form, but Greek blood.
The last ruler was Cleopatra II.
Her death in 30 BCE ended pharaonic Egypt forever. Egypt became a province of Rome, its ancient voice finally silenced. Though its temples fell silent, Egypt never truly vanished. Its knowledge flowed forward into Greece, Rome, and the modern world. Their belief in the afterlife reshaped humanity's understanding of death.
Medicine, engineering, mathematics, and time itself still carry Egyptian roots.
They were not built for kings alone, but for eternity. Ancient Egypt taught humanity how to remember itself. And as long as history is told, Egypt will never die. As the echoes of the ancient world fade, remember this: civilizations fall, stones crumble, names disappear, but their stories still breathe, waiting to be remembered. If this journey through time moved something within you, leave a mark before you go. Like this video. Subscribe to Lost Lament.
Here, we do not chase history. We listen to its final whispers.